We're in the holding area for race 3B at Silverstone, and yes, the conditions are still damp. It's going to make the racing very exciting. Oliver Robinson is on pole position, and Lyndsay has caught up with Charlie Rawls, who has battled a little bit of adversity this weekend and is making his way back up through the grid.
Thanks, Lloyd. Yeah, I'm currently here with Charlie in the assembly area for race 3. He barely made it out for race 2. He had to eventually end up starting from the pits after most of the paddock came together to try and get his engine started and going back out. So we're going to wish him the best of luck, and we're going to hand it over to Jake to run us through the rest of the grid.
Thank you, Lloyd and Lyndsay. Not as much standing water as there was earlier in the day, but it's still going to be very, very tricky, and it's going to be that fine line between wet and dry that racing drivers really struggle with. Oliver Robinson and Jack Moody on the front row of the grid from Jake Stiles and Ivan Leary. Bryn Griffiths and Scott Leach with Oliver Graham and Richard Wooten on the fourth row. Adrian Burge and Bill Taylor together on row 5, and then it's Nick Ledoyen in there with Anthony Hutchins. Tim Hutchinson and Clyde Chisnell on row 7 from Charlie Rawls and Luke Souch. Bruce Carter and Graham Rumsey on the 9th row from Bruce Robinson and Christopher Ginn. Then it's Dale Whiteman and Orlando Lyndsay from Chris Wilson and James Love. Richard Bartlett will line up beside David Rickards on the 13th row, and then we'll have the drivers who ended up off the circuit in the wet race earlier. Alan Hawkins, Chi Mung and Russ Lyndsay. 29 cars bounding around the circuit for the 15th race of the season in Group B. Green flag flies at the back of the circuit, the 5-second board goes up, and it's time to go racing. Slipping and sliding with a few windscreen wipers still going as there is a lot of rain still in the air. Lights on, out they go. Let's race at Silverstone for the final time in Group B. Robinson and Moody getting a reasonably good getaway as they charge their way forward for Copse, and it's no problem at all for Robinson to lead through turn 1. Jake Stiles coming around the outside of Ivan Leary to hang on to third position as the field knits its way through. No carnage on the first turn here at Silverstone this weekend, which has been really good to see. And actually, on the first lap of the races, we've actually seen no major melodramas down at Maggots or Beckett's yet. Have I spoken too soon? Yes, I have! That was Leary coming together with Stiles, and somehow they averted chaos. That is absolutely amazing, the two of them. Leary and Stiles coming together. Oh, whoops! Big bow wave there from, I think that was either Leach or that's got to be Oliver Graham, who just managed to kick up a massive bow wave. That might have been Bryn Griffiths, actually. He's right on board with Adrian Burge, going to the right side of Jack Moody. Down to the braking zone for Brooklands. Who's going to get this braking point right? Down into the left. Griffiths tucking in there behind Burge and in front of Bill Taylor. No major problems there as up the inside comes Richard Wooten, the 3. A nice twitch from him, but he gets the car stopped. Oh, we've gone the other side of Jack Moody to go round the outside of Luffield. So a nice move there from Burge. He's gone through. Good bit of driving there from Adrian Burge in the 7 as he tucks in behind Graham. And then it is Scott Leach in the 13 behind. Now Leach made up a massive amount of progress in race 2. Could he get to the front in race 3? He's certainly close enough. They come down the main straight once again. And back into the braking zone for Copse Corner. Leary in third position behind Jake Stiles as they battle through Bryn Griffiths and Jack Moody, and that's a spin from Bill Taylor in the middle of Copse. Is anybody going to go with him? Taylor, keep Bill, keep it out of the gravel. He has done. That was very nicely done from Bill Taylor, because he knew that if that car went into the gravel, that would have been game over. He somehow kept the car out of the gravel trap. That was very well defended there, as Leary is now battling away with Scott Leach. Jack Moody has dropped back a long way from that front row of the grid start. So Moody is now down into, what is that, a good 5th or 6th position at best, I think. We've got Clive Chisnell in front of us. That is the 26 of Charlie Rawls. Now, how far has he come up the grid? He's already started to make up progress, but here comes Chisnell in the wheel tracks of the 28, I think that is, of Timothy Hutchinson. He dives up the inside. This is the conventional overtaking move. In the wet, can he finish the job? The answer appears to be yes. No problem at all there. So Ivan Leary still running in front of Scott Leach as they come off the turn round Luffield, but it is leading the way. Oliver Robinson in front of Jake Stiles, who is looking good again, the under-18 racer. He's the youngest man in the field. They come through. Third position for Leary, 4th for Leach, 5th for Oliver Graham, and then in 6th place, that is Adrian Burge. Leach is starting to make inroads into Ivan Leary up the inside. He's into 3rd. I did think he may have a chance of a victory here in this one after the progress he made in race 2. He may be able to carve his way through and get into 3rd position. So he's up the inside of Leary, gets into that third place spot. Now he's got Robinson and Styles to close in on, but Leary's not done. He wants to get back on the inside of Scott Leach. So he makes the move on the inside at Beckett's. Can he get the undercut, Scott Leach? He's going to let Leary get by, drift through back to the inside and try and get that third position back. They're going to run side by side down the Wellington Straight, and he's through. He has managed to get him on the undercut. Nice retaliation there from Scott Leach as he charges his way through. So this has been a really good run from 6th on the grid for Leach. He's now in 3rd, and he's got Robinson and Styles up the road in front of him to try and move his way forward. Now we're on board with Bruce Robinson. He's having a tussle with Bill Taylor after the latter, who's just going past us there on the left side, had his spin at Copse. So Taylor is getting back onto this pretty quickly, but he's now down well outside the top 10. He's got a lot of progress to make up as Bill. So it's a real shame that he's now no longer in contention for the victory for the moment, as Robinson has got Jake Styles breathing all over the back of him as they come off. Woodcote, Oliver Graham now into 4th place behind Leach, having got past Leary and Burge himself. So Oliver Graham's on the move. We're on board with Adrian Burge, looking back to 7th place. Now, I'm trying to make out who that is through the spray. Very tough. I wonder if that is Timothy Hutchinson. It could well be. Oh no, it's Bryn Griffiths. Oh, and that's a spin from Leary. Leary has spun at Copse. So Leary has done what Bill Taylor did and has spun out Copse. Now he's in a dangerous position there, so he's got to let the whole field go by. So Ivan Leary, sadly, falls out of the top 5, and that's held up Burge, because Burge had to take avoiding action. So Burge has now lost the place himself as well. We've got Robinson, Styles, Leach and Graham battling for the lead in Group B now as they all drift their way through. Now, I think it's the 31 of Bryn Griffiths who is up into 5th position as a result of that. Burge obviously having to drift out wide and take avoiding action. No wonder things got a little bit choppy on the camera as we went through Copse Corner. As up the inside, Styles is going to defend Scott Leach. They're going to continue to drift through for the lead battle. Robinson's still leading. Leach is in 3rd in front of Oliver Graham. Styles are slotted into 2nd again. Can he get a run on Oliver Robinson? He's not thinking about defending 2nd as much as he is fighting for 1st. As they come off of Luffield Hairpin, Leach goes a little bit deep. That could be enough for Graham to knit through into 3rd position. He's already alongside him as this man, Jake Styles, tries to get in on Oliver Robinson. He knows how much pressure there is from behind. Graham did make it through in a 3rd position, by the way, as Styles now knots on the inside of Copse Corner, and that's well covered by Robinson. Not going to let him get through on the inside there. So Robinson is going to hang on to the lead as the rain has started to come down again, and that's why it's starting to get even harder to see through the spray and the mist as the weather comes back, and it is definitely raining again here at Silverstone. We did say it was going to be like this all day long, and unfortunately we were right. So Jake Styles trying to get back on the inside of Oliver Robinson. Oliver Graham is there in 3rd. 4th is Scott Leach, still sliding around doing his Hoonigan impression as he banzais through Beckett. Gets the car nicely parked back into a straight line as they get power on the throttle down the Wellington Straight once again. And there we go, Graham into 2nd place on Jake Styles. He is through, so Oliver Graham now in there behind Oliver Robinson. So I hate to use a Lionel Bart term, but it's Oliver, and up the inside, that is 2. That is Jake Styles coming through, making his way into 2nd position. Don't worry, I'll never sing while commentating ever again as these two continue to battle away for position, and Oliver Graham has held on to 2nd place as he gets past Jake Styles. Now that could give Scott Leach a nice run on the number 2. So the Olivers, 1st and 2nd. Robinson in front of Graham. We're on board with Chisnell. Now he's got a tight line through Woodcote. Has he got someone alongside him? No, he doesn't for the moment, so Chisnell just got himself into a neat position. This is how much you can see. So it's better visibility than we saw in the earlier race, but obviously the circuit is much more treacherous and tricky to handle. So he goes through Copse Corner. It's nice and smooth actually, so the track is improving. Thanks for that, Clive. Good to get an indication as to what is happening to the surface of the circuit. So the 13 in 3rd position. That is Scott Leach, fastest lap in the previous B race. Charged his way through from 29th on the grid to P6. Now he is trying to come through for the victory as Oliver Graham makes the move on Oliver Robinson. That's going to be close. Graham's going to overshoot. He's never going to make the corner. He drifts out wide. Robinson takes the lead back again, and Oliver Graham cuts across just before contact is made with Leach and Styles. So that was a little bit of a moment there for Oliver Graham. He thought he'd made the move on Robinson, and then unfortunately the car drifted loose. But he was able to get it back before losing just, well, he only lost 1 place, didn't he? He could easily have lost all 3 of those. And now the rain is coming down on the camera lens again So as we can see, the rain is going to increase and intensify, and that means that the spray is going to increase and intensify. In there behind Robinson, Graham second, third is Leach, fourth is still the... sorry, I was a little bit distracted by Graham running a little bit wide there, but in fourth position, it is still Jake Stiles in fourth place as Leach goes door to door with Graham. He's through already! Gets through on the inside of Maggots, goodness me. Nicely done there by Scott Leach. He wasn't going to wait around, and now he's got an opportunity to get straight onto the back of Oliver Robinson. So he's dealt with Graham. Now he's going to go for Robinson, but Graham has not thrown in the towel yet. Jake Stiles is still there in fourth position, but he's dropped back a couple of car lengths because he may get a chance of a podium here as Graham changes sides, goes from the left side to the right side. Scott Leach uses the invitation to get into second position again. So there's no change in the order for the top three, but they are swarming around a little bit, and Jake Stiles has suddenly got that gap back down to nothing. So he's going to make the move on the inside of Oliver Graham. That's a beautiful line from Jake Stiles as he goes into third position. They're going to run off the curb together, and Stiles will be there in third unless Graham can get a better run, which he's done so. So he's through in a third. Jake Stiles back down to fourth once more, and Graham has got such a good run. He's actually now closing in on Scott Leach. So is it going to be Oliver in position again, 1 and 2? Well, at the moment it's Oliver and company, isn't it? Oliver Robinson, Scott Leach, a little bit hesitant through Copse that time by the look of it. Oliver Graham able to close in just that little bit, and Jake Stiles still there in P4. Very hard to control the camera as the wind is obviously picking up and the rain is getting heavier, so fair play to the crew. They're doing a great job of keeping an eye on things as the 13, Scott Leach, is still in there, tucked up behind Oliver Robinson, the 19. Back on the power, up the Wellington straight. Scott Leach has got a good run. This might be an opportunity now to go for the overtake under the bridge. Scott Leach is going to do his best, but he's not going to try anything too silly. He has got a gap up the inside of Robinson. Is there enough space for two to run together? There isn't a lot of room at all. They rub doors. They're not going to pitch each other off the road if they can help it. Graham's going to try and knit his way up the inside of Leach. The lead does not change, and somehow Scott Leach remains in second position, although there was a little bit of a nudge from Graham. Graham's going to get through into second place, so that was so close. That was dancing with death, all three of them. Jake Stiles has closed up again in fourth place, but that's given Oliver Robinson a very useful gap in the lead of the race. So now Scott Leach will want to try and get back on terms with Oliver Graham. He won't like the fact that he lost the place to him. So now they're going to come through again. He's run wide, and that's enough for Jake Stiles to get through into third position. Scott Leach is going to try and get back on the power on the way out of the turn. He's gone on the power a little bit quicker, and Stiles is back down to fourth. That's the ebb and flow of using the outside line, the non-racing line, dry line, if you like, when it's sunny. But in the wet conditions, you can choose a multitude of different driving lines as the drivers make their way out of Beckett's and back onto the Wellington straight. Robinson has got a clear bit of road in front of him, in front of Oliver Graham. Then it is the 13 of Scott Leach, and then Jake Stiles in fourth. Down into the braking zone again. Here comes Scott Leach, dives for the inside, licking his lips as he goes through, almost literally as he dives for the inside line and takes the place. Back in a second place then goes Scott Leach. Great driving from the 13 as he is now into P2, and there might be a whiff of a gap left open by Oliver Graham for Jake Stiles to get through in a third position, but Graham's so good on that outside line, and Jake Stiles realises that it's not going to happen. He drops back into position in P4, in behind Oliver Graham, but as these two continue to squabble for second place, Oliver Robinson is just being left a clear run to the victory out front, so he's not really worrying about anything at this moment. He's just keeping it nicely and together, and this race is looking very sweet and sound as far as he is concerned. We have a Scott Leach in second place, in there in front of Oliver Graham and Jake Stiles. The battle is getting faster and faster. Now Leach is trying to drop Graham. You can see he realises that Robinson was getting away, so Leach is now not really thinking about Oliver Graham. He wants to win this, and he's in there behind Oliver Robinson. He's made a massive gain actually in the last couple of corners. Through Copse he was a lot quicker. Through Maggots and Beckett's he's been able to get down a lot of the time as well, so Robinson is actually under massive pressure. We go further back down the straight, and this is Adrian Burge we're riding on board with, looking back to Bryn Griffiths. So as they charge their way forward, this may be an opportunity for Burge to make up some ground. Griffiths is trying to close him in. Just the differences of the two drivers' lines through Brooklands, so it's obviously a very tricky part of the course. You can see that there is a dry line but it's the thinnest of dry lines possible. As now we've got, oh, that's Leach in the lead. Leach is leading, and Graham is going to get up alongside Oliver Robinson. So Scott Leach is your leader. Oliver Graham side by side with Oliver Robinson, and in comes Jake Stiles. He's looking for a way to come through into third position. He's going to dive for the inside. Robinson's already thinking about the move on Oliver Graham, but Scott Leach has got past them all. See you later, alligators. I'm off. And Graham in second place now in front of Oliver Robinson. So Oliver Robinson was looking good for a victory. Had a massive lead a couple of laps ago. A good 5 or 6 car lengths, which is pretty big in Mazda MX-5 Championship terms. But now all of a sudden he's hanging on to second place for dear life, because he's got Oliver Graham and Jake Stiles all over him. And out in front, Scott Leach is disappearing. So Robinson hangs on to second for the moment through Beckett's. Back on the power and up the straight once again. Is there going to be a little bit more to this race? He's going to have to fight for it a little bit more, Scott Leach, because you've got the second place. That was a rabbit going across the road. Goodness me. I've never seen that before at Silverstone. That was a rabbit going across the road. Well, a hair's breadth from the lead then. Oliver Robinson trying to close back in on Leach as 24-2. Duel for position. Oliver Graham's got to run out wide, and I think this time Jake Stiles is going to get to third position. He'll still leave Graham enough room to manoeuvre, but no, Graham does defend round that outside. He's so good on the outside line of Luffield. He hangs on to his position. So down the main straight once again, dodging rabbits, hares, moles, pheasants, geese, whatever. They are continuing on here on the Silverstone National circuit. And Scott Leach was commanding out in front of Oliver Robinson, but Robinson is now playing him in his own game. He's charging after him as they go through Copse Corner. There's a very strong chance now that he's going to get the draft, and I think, doing my maths, there's only going to be, with the time we've had and the time we've got left, 3 laps to go. Is up the inside. That is the 58 making his bid to move up the order. That's Dale Whiteman on the inside of Chris Wilson as they duel for position. Battles going on at the front, but also in the rear end of the field as well, and in the midfield. So still very tricky racing conditions here at Silverstone as all of the drivers battle their way through. Nice move that though from Dale Whiteman, and now they're side by side for the lead. Robinson trying to get on the inside of Scott Leach. Leach defending beautifully. Plenty of curb from Robinson. Drifting up wide for Leach. But these guys are soon to be closing in on that Whiteman and Wilson battle. As again Stiles tries to get on the inside of Oliver Graham. And again Graham proves to be resistant to the move. So they continue to duel and squabble. But at the moment it is Scott Leach in front of Oliver Robinson as they come across the line this time by. I think we're going to have, well, it's tough to tell whether there's going to be 2 laps to go or 3 laps to go as they come across the line. I'll have to try and calculate it. The difficulty in the lap times, of course, is that they're a lot slower than they would be in normal conditions, so we're going to have fewer laps than normal, but we're still going to have a very close run to the finish in this final race of the weekend for the B group. We've still got the A group to come after this race, of course, as well. Clive Chisnell battling wheel to wheel with Jack Moody as they duel for position. So Chisnell there tucking in on the inside, and Moody slides sideways. He manages to save that one though. Goodness me, well caught Jack Moody. I tell you what, he could play goal for England, couldn't he? That was a massive catch on the far side, and that car could very easily have spun away from him. Chisnell's now going to make the move on the inside of Moody. Down to the braking zone. Moody's going to go through quite late onto the turning point, but that's a faster way through in these slippery conditions. So Chisnell on the back of Jack Moody. And as they go back up the Wellington straight, a very nice catch from Jack Moody. Somebody sign him up to play for England in cricket, actually. Under the Wellington straight bridge. And now Chisnell's going to dive for that inside of Jack Moody. He should have enough space to get the move. Will he have enough speed through the corner? Because Moody's got a very different line than Chisnell. You can see, look, he's using a lot of the spray to just drive the car through in the wet setup he's got on his car. He's obviously utilising that perfectly. But you can see, look how much he's drifting through the corner, just trying to get the car straight and narrow. But it is the faster way through, just keeping the car a little bit loose. That is a lap of the Silverstone National Circuit on board with Clive Chisnell in these conditions, following behind Jack Moody. And you can see how tricky it can be in the best of times and the worst of times. But out in front, closing in to lap the 20 of Christopher Ginn, is your race leader Scott Leach. He's got a little bit of breathing space now in front of Oliver Graham. And it looks to me as though we are definitely getting closer to the end of the race as the drivers make their way down the Wellington straight one more time. Oliver Robinson is now running out of time to close up on Oliver Graham as Leach gets up the inside of Chris Ginn to put a lap on him. No problem at all there in these tricky conditions. He's got the authority and the confidence in this car. He uses a little bit more than the dry line that allows him, so he uses that wet patch on the exit at Brooklands just to cool the tyres down, I guess, more than anything else, because that's the difficulty when the dry line starts to appear and you're on a wet setup. The tyres get very hot trying to cope with it, and obviously you're trying to keep the tyres cool, so a little drift into the wet might not be such a bad idea. So into the last lap goes Scott Leach. We are going to have just one more lap of it. I wasn't sure in terms of the timing how much was left, but Scott Leach is going to run to the victory if he just keeps it together on this, the final lap. He uses plenty of curb on the exit of Copse. He doesn't spin the car as others have on the same occurrence, but Scott Leach is leading the way very, very smartly here in front of Oliver Graham, Oliver Robinson and Jake Stiles, and it's going to be a nice run to the... Oh, hang on a minute. Where's Oliver Robinson and Jake Stiles? They have drifted a little way off the back of Oliver Graham, and they are duelling for third place. So those two are still going to be racing to the line. They just saw them go out of your shot. They are still going to be battling away for that final place on the podium. But through the rain, through the flotsam and jetsam around the circuit, dodging hares and all sorts, has been a fantastic drive for Scott Leach. Let's not forget, in race 2, he charged from 29th and last on the grid to finish P6, and that has set him up for a terrific run in the third. He's going to finish on a high, exactly how he would have wanted to. It is going to be a victorious run to the line for Scott Leach here at Silverstone in the drizzly wet conditions. A brilliant race in the B group, and Scott Leach wins at Silverstone, the third and final B group race of the weekend. Terrific job from Scott. He is very jubilant indeed and deserves to be, from the Olivers in second and third. Graham in front of Robinson. Jake Stiles comes home in fourth position. A brilliant victory for Leach in front of Graham, Robinson and Stiles. Richard Wootton comes home fifth in front of Adrian Burge. Bryn Griffiths in seventh ahead of Clive Chisnell, battling with Jack Moody. And Timothy Hutchinson in 10th position. Outside the top 10, it's Leary from Hawkins and Rawls, Nicola Doyen and Anthony Hutchins from Bill Taylor and Bruce Carter, Chi Mong and Graham Rumsey ahead of Orlando Lyndsay. In 21st, Bruce Robinson from Luke Souch, Richard Bartlett, Whiteman, Wilson, Gin and Love, with only Rickards and Lyndsay opting not to start. But everybody who did ended up finishing. Great race for Leach.
Very well done there, Scott. That was one heck of a race.
Thank you very much. That's great.
Yeah. So, how did you find it out there? Is the track drying up a little bit?
Well, me personally, I find it a little bit more slippier than the first one.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Is it just like there's a lot more still water, is there?
I don't really know. I don't think there's so much water there, but the track just seems a little bit more slippier.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, well, congratulations from us here, and we'll let you get on.
That's great. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Oliver, congratulations. Well-deserved second place, but tough fighting out there.
It was an incredibly tough battle. I had a few sketchy moments. I locked up going into the second to last corner, and I thought I'd lost it then, but I sort of managed to pick myself back up a little bit. There was a little bit of contact, but managed to pull through, and yeah, it was a good race. I'm happy to have got second time racing MX-5, so it's good stuff.
Yep, it's always good to come away with a podium. It's another bit of silverware. Congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you out there next time.
Thank you very much.
Oliver, that looked like a tough race out there. How was it on the track?
Well, it was good on the track. Tough race. Started first. Watched the little incident behind me in my mirror. Thought, right, I'm away. Great. Then I just slowly saw Scott and Oliver catching me. I thought, don't make a mistake. So I made a mistake. But hey, you know, enjoyed it thoroughly. Track was good. Bit greasy on Copse, and then Beckett. If you hit the standing water, you've had it. But apart from that, great race. It's good.
Fantastic. So you're going to come back and join us in Anglesey and see if you can get back on the podium?
I'm going to come to Anglesey. Unfortunately, I put a plug in for my lad who's at the DTM race at Brands Hatch next week when Anglesey's on, so I'll be watching that.
Lovely. Well done again, Oliver.
All right. Thank you very much.